many of us look at a tree and wonder, would we look at it the same way if we saw it back when it was just a seed? Well, the obvious answer to that is no. The whole point of a seed is to represent hope and potential. And a tree symbolizes the actualization of that very same hope and potential. The typical before and after photos are meant to be different. Because what is the point? What is the point of this big, beautiful and devastating world if something as simple as a seed could not become a tree? So you see, it is not just about what we see about the seed and later the tree that it becomes. It is also about all that we do not see. And that is the fundamental difference between a proverbial banyan trapped in a seed to a seed that does not end up becoming anything more than what it began with. And that's fine too. Often call it fate or destiny or pure karma. Some seeds, some people are not meant to be more than what they began with. So, to you, and more importantly, to their own selves, they negated the belief that one day they could be more than what they began with. Belief is a powerful thing. And to believe that we are deserving of or capable of more than what is our present, that cosmically insignificant, but arguably indestructible force is a dream. A dream is neither the seed nor the sapling nor the tree. A dream is the hope of the seed that despite the rains, the grazing animals, the n number of obstacles that the world might throw at it, it might still one day become more. So you see, a dream is not just the actualization of faith. It is faith itself. Our seed became a tree not just because it insisted upon its growth when others were watching, but because right at the cellular level, even when nobody else did, it lived its capacity to become more. So what for us humans, right? That is the ending of every analogy, of every philosophy, of every thesis and every theory. At the end of the day, are we that seed, the sapling, or the tree that habitually tends to wonder if it really is one? I remember my 10-year-old self telling my mother, "Ma, I want to one day become an author. I want to enter 8th grade as an author." At that age, I had probably read 1 or 2 Ruskin-Bond novels, won a few competitions, and lost several more. So I knew what minor achievement and what minor failure feels like. And so to me, that was perhaps the biggest victory or the biggest triumph, to enter high school as an author. I suppose there really is no end to what an overexcited mind can dream up for itself. Little Swayam never truly could imagine that as an 8th grader she would be allowed, that I would be allowed to publish a novel, much less even believe that she could ever write one. But she never believed that she could not. And so, here I am today, more or less the same person, the same Swayam, just a little older and on the conscious path to being a little wiser. You see, belief isn't decidedly positive or negative. It is just a driving force, and the direction we choose to apply it on is completely up to us. So when I look back and I'm tempted to chide my past self over all the mistakes she has made, I can't help but also say thank you. For if she would not have trusted in the power of possibility, this would not have been my reality. Today, more than any other point in history, are the youth so involved with the happenings of the world. Thanks to social media, whether they be trivial trends or mass online movements, whether they be different perspectives to the same news, or about becoming more active sociopolitically. From content creation to internet activism, there is nothing that we haven't tried out yet. There is nothing that isn't in our realm. And so we, the seeds, the saplings, and the trees are now irrevocably entwined together. After all, there is no individual without an ecosystem. Today, we the youth are not just this forest of lakhs of trees. Unfortunately enough, we are also the forest fire that one day may end up consuming itself. Today, all around us, we see polaric realities that seemingly coexist with no real issues. But at the roots, there is an ailment that, if ignored, will lead to our eventual downfall. At one side, we see people with such utmost confidence, with such powerful conviction in what they are doing, in their belief system, that there is no doubt that whatever inspires them, it does truly guide how they lead their lives. However, of what use is this belief if they are not believing the right cause? It is a pity that we as a society are running out of reasons for dreamers to dream. We manufacture dreams in factories and then sell them for a price that goes way beyond mere transactional currency. At one side, we have an active and potentially revolutionary youth force that is invested in causes it is bullied to believe in, either from the previous generations, or from peer pressure, or from necessity. But thankfully enough, there also exists a ray of light in our country, in the world today. And that is those who have found the right cause, and more importantly, their true cause, who have crossed the mountains of ignorance, and today they possess the potential to guide this other set of the population. But somewhere between one side to the other, somewhere between the traveler and the destination, there is a missing bridge. Believe it or not, this bridge too can be cemented with belief. One of the biggest services we can do for this world is to be unabashedly and truly our best selves. And so, I would like to wish for all of us here that may we always ceaselessly aspire for more. May there always be growth, metamorphosis, and change in our lives. For change is hard, change is inevitable. But you look at the bigger picture and there is nothing as beautiful as it. Come to think of it, all that we admire about nature, the beautiful sunsets, the twinkling stars, the waterfalls, what are they if not displays of just how beautiful change can be? And change is what comes most naturally to us after all. In this crowded world, we are not just irrevocably bound to one another, we are also irrevocably bound to change. So perhaps right now the best thing we can hold in our heart is a prayer for all that we await and for all that awaits us to just come together. Instead of waiting for bridges, why not build them? Let us believe that we are capable of connecting one shore to another. Instead of waiting for shade, let us resolve to provide shelter to somebody else's needs. And finally, let us believe that our best man bookers lie in being the kindest parts of someone else's story. Why celebrate one bestseller that we may or may not produce, when we can celebrate all the beautiful things that happen around us every day and every moment we choose to be more than what we used to be? So you see, if one bank of this story is our beliefs and our dreams and our aspirations, and the other bank is all that awaits us, all that is possible, and if we as a collective choose to come together to believe in our ever-renewing capacity to transform, then the only thing that can bridge the river in between of ever-changing circumstances and limitations is a leap of faith. All kinds of change refer to leaps of faith. Leaps of faith are essentially what have made us. If not for leaps of faith, we would be static. We would not be human, and all that makes us beautiful would not exist. To explain most simply and most genuinely what I feel about this concept, let me tell you a short story of sorts from my own life. You see, I had never begun exactly with the intention to write a book. Yes, I knew it was a faraway dream of mine to be able to call myself an author, but I always believed I was too young to, or too incapable to, or too undeserving to be able to actually write a book and then publish it. So when I just began on an impulse with a chapter, and my friend, my closest friend, encouraged me to keep writing one after the other, the chapters kept increasing and I just kept writing. Because to me at that time, writing was about showing how much my friend meant to me. And writing especially about friendship, about being hurt, and being brave enough to be on the path of healing. It felt like my personal tribute to my friends, to my city, and all that has made me. And so you can imagine when my parents came and offered to help me put it out there in the world, all of my most vulnerable thoughts that anyone out there can read, I'll admit, it was a mortifying thought. It was a terrifying thought. And yet, there was a thrill to it, that I will finally be more. And I think that is what finally made me say, yes, I will publish this. The fact that the world will know that there exists one more side to me. I know fundamentally I have been the same. How much can possibly one book change? But the fact is that knowing that that capacity is within you and to be able to show that to others, it is an exercise in just how much we can prosper if we put our minds to it. Being an author, I know of people all around me. I myself am no stranger to this sentiment of feeling like I am stuck in a story I don't want to be part of. And that is also the powerful feeling that most writers have, that if not anything, they have complete control over their stories, over the lives of the characters they write about. But what about when it comes to real life? To take that leap of faith is not easy. Perhaps not that hard a decision for me, seeing all the support I had. But I see all around myself, my dearest ones, my classmates, my friends, people who I know a lot about and people who I know very little about. They all find themselves stuck in a story that they don't want to narrate about themselves. So what is the solution to this? Not all of us want to be authors, and even those of us who are don't always feel like we are in charge of our story. What do we do about it? So here is an open secret I would like to tell you about life. We are writing the book every moment we spend living. We are either, at the beginning of the story or in the middle of the story, but we are nowhere near the ending. So if we do not like this particular chapter, there is always the next one waiting to be written. That is how life is. We cannot accept that we are stuck permanently in one place with all of our regrets and disappointments, because why should we? We are limitless. The next chapter awaits us, so why not get to it? Like I've said before, there is nothing wrong with not becoming a tree. There is nothing wrong with being as we are. But why should we? In this world, there is so much left to be done. There is so much left for us to become. So why should we settle? Why should we not explore all those versions of ourselves that are waiting for us in a future that is accessible only through a leap of faith? It's the little things in life that matter the most. That's what I told myself when I pictured my teachers pointing out a grammatical flaw in my book. When they would suggest that I should have used a better phrase while writing one part, and the book is already published. It is the little things in life that matter the most, is what I told myself when I pictured me and that friend who made me write the book 30 years from then, looking back at who we used to be, at how our friendship blossomed, and acknowledging that yes, we could mean so much to each other that here is a whole damn book to immortalize that. It is the little things in life that matter the most. I say that to myself when I picture that long after I am gone, a little girl would pick up my book and in those pages find recognition. You see, deep within us, there is this voice that tells us where we are meant to be. It tries to nudge us to where we belong, but 8 out of 10 times, if not 9, we push it down. We intellectualize it, we rationalize it, we think of the million ways it could go wrong. Sometimes we just have to believe it could go right. Sometimes we just have to take that chance. Somebody somewhere took a chance with us, didn't they? That is why we are here today. Let us not prove wrong that hope at least. Let us take a leap of faith. What worst can happen? When we take a leap of faith, yes, we may not land exactly where we want to. We may get a few scratches here and there. But to take that leap in itself is an act of daring. And when we dare to do something, we incur a 50% chance of getting it right anyway. Considering the world that we live in, I'd say they are fair chances. So go for it. Whatever is your act of growing, of becoming more, start small if you want. It may be writing a book. It may be confessing how you really feel. It may be trying out a new hobby, a new course. It may be building an app. It could be anything for that matter, but it must ring true within you. And you must pursue it. That is what we are meant to do. Start small. Start with a weekly goal. Nobody becomes a master in 2 days or 1 day. So do it. At worst, you may produce a book that fails, but at least you have written a book. Start with a sentence, if not a chapter. Start with a rough draft. Who's there to stop you? If you want to become an amazing chef and you do not trust yourself with it, then who is stopping you from making a cup of tea? More than any other point in history, we are a set of people who have the power in our hands to do whatever we want with our lives. So if we don't do it for ourselves, why would anybody else? Being an author, I can tell you, it's good to be in charge of the story. Thank you.